conscientious person, meaning that you've had a lifestyle for the longest time. You've been exercising. You've been getting up at the same time in the morning, which is actually the best thing to do. You go to bed early. You do everything proper, and by the time most people wake up, you will have done more than, well, as they say in the military, by 6 a.m. There's more done than other people's total day. So, and then you can get back to work. But I just want to say the commitment to routine, and this is what Dr. Shealy is talking about, and this is essential. I'll speak from my perspective. To me, well, I'll be frank. I've worked emergency room for about 20 years, and that has taught me some really, really bad habits, including between night shifts, 24s. At one point, I was doing up a 72-hour shift straight in a row, and I got maybe a couple of hours of sleep. I don't think you'd be interested in that kind of a thing.
I would not survive it.
Yes, sir. I am not interested in that at this point myself either, but I still do some 24s from time to time, shift work wise. So for me, this is not something that came as natural as to Dr. Shealy. But what I'm realizing, and this is the interesting thing, is if I put myself an alarm, if I make a decision, following through. For example, I've made a decision. I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to take care of myself, balance myself, and then I'll go through the day and give it everything good that I can. And whatever it is that's your strength, your talent, again, you do what you do. But if you can be at your personal best, you can give it your personal best in everything you do. If you're not at your personal best, guess what? You're not going to get very far, or at least not according to what you're capable of. This at this point, just for myself personally, I've literally converted myself. I decided to make myself a morning person, and that's been difficult, as a matter of fact. But I'll tell you, and if I can do it, literally anybody can do it out there, because I'm one of the harder people to do this. I literally could live for the night, one of the vampire type people. But the idea of having a routine. And in the morning, the beautiful thing about that is that you get to organize, you get to take care of yourself and put yourself as a priority first, because this is what you have to do. Responsibility. We talked about the word responsible, able to respond. And if you're not responding, guess what? The responsibility is on you and the outcomes is on you. And again, I'm saying this in a pretty straightforward, kind of a hard-nosed type of fashion, but whatever the outcomes in your life, generally 90% of it is our responsibility. And yes, of course, there's factors out there, there are situations, there are things, they're beyond our control. But again, 90% of what happens, outcome, is how we respond. Between a stimulus and response is a freedom of choice. This is what we're talking about, following through on all of those things that are important to you. And a huge part of that is literally setting a routine and sticking to a routine. For example, with supplements, if I want to stay to a routine and I take more than one supplement, which we recommend at least 4 minimum, let's go through them briefly. Magnesium, topical, vitamin D3, at least 50,000 units, and a good B complex, essentials, 2 of those per day, essential for energy, and as well as vitamin C plus other things, youth formula. It rejuvenates the body, and also DHEA, anti-stress wellness hormone. Again, if you're going to take just that in itself, it's good to organize. So have a pill box or some kind of a tool so that you have this. Because if it's not convenient, if you don't set it up as a practical guide, it's going to be harder to follow. You wanted to jump in?
Well, one of the first things I do is take my supplements for the day. Mm-hmm. And I have a container that has 32 different receptacles. And I take my supplements and put them in a little cup, and then they put into a slush. Now, I take these in about 4 ounces max of liquid, and then I'm ready for my real food.
But the thing is, you've had this routine for the longest time.
Oh, yes.
So let's talk about the value of routine. What's going to happen theoretically if you don't exercise? I'm going to say theoretically because there's not a day that you have not done that.
Well, I plan at this time, I'm down to an hour and a half a day instead of 2 hours.
Only an hour and a half?
An hour and a half a day.
At how old are you right now?
89.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
And so I do an hour and a half of exercise, and then generally I have my breakfast, and I'm ready for the day. Now, no matter where I am, I follow the routine. I don't vary. You'd have to have a fire in the building for me to vary that routine.
So basically, this is what we're talking in terms of lifestyle. And so when we talk about training, resetting, retraining the mind and the brain, the autogenic training that we talk about frequently, the 6 phrases: my arms and legs are heavy and warm, my heartbeat is calm and regular, my breathing is free and easy, my abdomen is warm, greatest chemical factory, my forehead is cool, my mind is quiet and still. These are all sensors, and this is all biofeedback for your body, so you can understand and rapidly adjust to any situation, stressful and otherwise, like you do when you're driving. When you become when you become an expert at driving, you don't have to think about stopping at the gas or stopping at the light. Your body knows what to do. So this way, your body will know what to do with stress. Again, if you want to commit to a stress management program, whatever that may be, and we certainly recommend biogenics because, well, I'm sitting next to the creator here. Uh, that's another commitment, but that's, again, you have to follow through. 2 to 3 month continuous autogenic training, so that you train that muscle, you train that that brain circuit, the neuroplasticity, and then that becomes you. 2 to 3 months, and then closer to a year, again, a lifestyle. Stress will bounce off of you. And then there's biogenics, which is the entire program itself.
And there are 68 different variations of the theme. You can work on specific problems in your life or creations in your life. It's the foundation for thinking and acting every day of your life.
One specific exercise that I'd like to kind of guide us through, kind of briefly, and this is something that I was inspired after our conversation at one point quite early on, and this is one of the biogenic exercises, which I literally just was download, and then I talked to Norm, Dr. Shealy, and we said, let's create another biogenic exercise. There's 68 total now. It's called Honoring My Body. And the way it goes is something like this. Again, get yourself in a good position, good place, however you relax. We recommend autogenic training. But once you do that, the concept and the flow goes something like this. I honor this temple, this physical, amazing creation of who I am here on earth. And my body is made of various elements. My body, it requires various elements, certain nutrients, certain things, foods. My body requires and is in need of exercise, movement, and activity, and I'm honored to provide that for my body. I'm happy to do that. I choose to do that. I choose to get good sleep. I choose to also control my stress and be mindful of my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions. Why? Because I am a sacred, amazing human being. I am more than my physical body. I am more than my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I am a spiritual being, a soul, and I'm here to enjoy the best quality life that I have. Now, there is a slight variation from the exercise, but again, it's set to binaural beats, and if you can imagine, and some gamma as well. Literally, it's a message for a well rounded, balanced life, and that's just one of the exercises. But this actually gets me into a place where we can talk about this thing called inner self talk, and the inner self talk is either positive or negative, or you have no idea what you're doing to yourself. And when you have no idea, you're mostly in the negative. And so, how does one understand and fix the problem? First, you have to have a sensor. You have to know where you are and what you're doing before you do something about it, if you have to do something about it. So this is, again, where biogenics comes in. But whatever you do, relaxation, deep breathing, meditation, these are all good modalities. Do you want to jump in on the thoughts, feelings, and emotions?
Well, I think in today's world, there is a huge amount of negativity for the last 2+ years. And my reaction to that is to detach. Detach. If I cannot change it, then I don't bother with it. I ignore it and detach to a positive state of mind.
And let's clarify again, detached doesn't mean hopeless, helpless. It means letting go of crap. It means letting go of things that are not serving, not useful, changing and letting go of the patterns that are not not conducive to health and wellness. But remember, if you change patterns, you have to replace them with new patterns. And if you're going to do that, you have to have mindfulness, you have to have intention, and you need to have a follow through. Now, how many people out there, and I'm going to ask a question, feel free to write this down and feel free to share that with us. Either way, be honest with yourself. Is most of your inner talk in terms of health, wellness, your attitude in life towards relationships, friends, family, work, is most of it positive? Is most of it conducive, and are you seeing good outcomes? Or is most of it negative or troublesome or difficult, however you want to describe it, or leaves something to be desired? Are you willing to do something about that? Are you willing to change those patterns, recognize those patterns, become aware of them? Again, don't feel bad that you have them, just become aware. At some point, it served a purpose. It may not serve a purpose now. So it's time to adapt, change, and be in the present moment, not in the past, not in the future. And speaking of the present moment, go ahead.
Well, don't worry, Ward. Don't
Yeah.
wallow in manure.
Exactly.
Wallow in roses.
Exactly. And again, we're not saying to run away from the problems or pretend that the problems or trauma didn't exist. It does, and it's real. It hurts. But here's the thing: if we, and this is another concept about the follow through in inner self talk, is that most of us have something from our past, good things that we can enjoy and appreciate, bad things that are, well, have challenged us, hurt us physically, mentally, emotionally, or in any other way. Are we aware of what those traumas are? Are we aware of what that has done and is doing in our current life? And are we willing to acknowledge and change those patterns? Because that is really, literally a freedom of choice. Life wasn't really intended as a punishment, the way I understand it. Life is a lesson. If we learn the first time around, things get better. And then you get stronger, you get better, you don't make the same mistakes again. If you don't learn, well, the same situation is going to happen again and again and again. And again, this is a question of pattern. Einstein's one of my favorite statements. Definition of, well, insanity or idiocity, which one of those, doing the same exact thing and expecting a different result. Folks, that just does not happen. There is a cause and there is an outcome.
Remember that every thought is a prayer.
Mm.
Thinking sets in motion spiritual forces to bring about change in body, mind, companions, hopes, and despairs. Think positive.
Another thing that I want to throw out there and just make a suggestion, and this is something that I do under hypnosis, mild hypnosis in our practice, and it's a very powerful, very intense technique. But just as a general concept, consider your life, and if you're listening and paying attention, consider your personal life, your being, your experiences as a movie, as a theater production. Anyhow, something that has been produced, designed, and you are the main protagonist. You're the actor. Now, some of us play good guys, so to speak. Some of us play bad guys, so to speak. But that is a role that is being played either well or not so well. Now, another question is, how is that movie going so far? And now let's say you're close. I'll give an example. Let's say you're 50 years of age, and the patterns of your life have led you to chronic pain, depression, anxiety, chronic major illnesses, and so on and so forth. Not unusual. Not unusual. If that's the pattern or the movie or the scene that has taken place so far, it doesn't have to be the second part. In other words, there's still a chance to change, modify, and move into a different direction. And 7 to 10 years, you can be a whole new being. You can be getting older and getting younger at the same time, physiologically. But that's a choice. That is a choice that has to be made by the director. In other words, your higher self, your mind, your decision maker, center intention, and then the actor or actress. And then that's following through. And so that is a decision that has to take place, but it also requires careful analysis and understanding of who you are. And that is one of the things that you have to get to. Who am I? What makes me tick? Why am I doing the things I'm doing, and why am I not doing the things that I'm not doing, so to speak, in terms of the good, the bad, and the ugly? And this is what it's all about. This is what holistic medicine is all about. This is what, when I see patients, clients, and when you see patients and clients, we literally, there's medicine. Yes, we, as an emergency room doc, I recognize certain emergencies. If I see something bad, I'm going to respond appropriately. There's good modalities in conventional medicine. There is scripts, there is surgery, there is specialists. But there's something more than that, and that is holism: spirit, soul, mind, body. The complete approach to the individual. And if you want to get well, if you want to live your best life, not just be okay, but live your best life, as well as recover from dis-ease, lack of ease, take care of yourself. Make a decision and follow through. Now, anything else that you'd
It's
like to add?
physical, it's mental, it's emotional, and it's spiritual. And the top of the list is spiritual. Focus on am I living life in an optimal spiritual way?
Are you being your best authentic self? Are you happy? Are you satisfied? If you're not, then make a decision. Either do nothing and be happy with the decision, or be unhappy with the decision, but again, knowing that you are responsible. And again, I know I'm being harsh here, but this is the truth. I'm just speaking what I cannot speak any other way. Let's put it that way. This is my responsibility as a holistic physician, and the company, by the way, is called the Real Holistic Doc. We have no choice, so to speak, but to speak the truth. And the truth is, we can all do better than we do, and it's our responsibility.
And there's not a drug in the world that can do that for you. Only thinking and being can create reality.
Absolutely. Unless a person has a good foundation that is consistent with a blueprint for the human beings, a blueprint from the creator, so to speak, a blueprint of how our physiology, mental, emotional, and the whole thing holistically functions, unless you understand and follow that, it's going to be fragmented, and the outcomes will not be optimal. If you do understand yourself, work with yourself, and optimize yourself, getting older can be an absolutely amazing, beautiful experience. And then, of course, there's life beyond 100. And we haven't talked about that for a while, haven't we?
Well, in general, we are born with the chips of our DNA to live an average of 100 years. And the average American dies at 79. So we're wasting our birthright. If you have all good habits, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, you're likely to live 100. And for the last, since 2006, I've been working with techniques for regenerating the telomeres. And now you can regenerate the telomeres. The simplest way takes a minute and a half a day. It's by fire, earth, and crystal bliss. It takes literally 90 seconds at the most.
Mm-hmm.
And
plus all the other benefits of the bliss oils.
You're healthier, happier.
Yes.
And have more energy.
Free radical reduction, increased calcitonin for bones, for the health, and
increasing your DHEA,
anti-stress wellness hormone by 60% naturally. I mean, that's great.
And decreasing your free radicals at a whopping 80%.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So basically, everything to gain, nothing to lose, but other than procrastination and and bad habits. Any other last words within the next 30 seconds? Then we go to a break.
Well, intention and action is the way to do it.
And then follow right on through. Amen.
And halitosis is better than no rest at all, but poor health habits are a waste of time.
Yes. And by the way, I do want to say, we have a few more seconds. This is for anyone who is interested in listening. $75 any order, or any order $75 and more, free shipping from the store for this. Well, coming up, and we're going to go to break. We're going to continue taking questions, talking, and then we'll come back again second half. All right. Now, Robin, do we have any questions or comments or? Oh,
Before we start the questions, I would like to emphasize at the top of the list is autogenic training and biogenics. But second to that are essential supplements. In today's toxic world, you need vitamin D3, vitamin C, MSM, astaxanthin, and vitamin C. These are best taken as our essentials multivitamin and our youth formula of vitamin C. And I would add a little astaxanthin. And a place to get these in Springfield is Spring Valley Natural Foods. I've tried other shops and I feel lost when I walk in. I see 10,000 or more items and nobody tells me where to find anything. But at Spring Valley, they come out and, what do you want? I'll find it for you. They don't say that, they do it. And the average American is eating only 2.2 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. You need a minimum of 5 to survive. The best way to get that is Nature Blessed tart cherry juice concentrate. 2 tablespoons equals 3.5 servings of fruits and vegetables. Even if you stay with your 2.2 servings and add Nature Blessed tart cherry juice concentrate, you're getting barely enough
yes,
to
sir.
be healthy. And you find Nature Blessed only at real grocery stores. If it don't have it in the produce department, it's a fake grocery store.
And by the way, the taste is fantastic too, as well. And for something nutritious, I mean, hey, that's a plus. Thank you.
It lowers cholesterol, it lowers free radicals, and it tastes good.
Oh yeah. Are there any questions or comments? Mm-hmm.
We have someone online asking, do you cover all ailments and primary care or just nutritional counseling in your practice?
Okay.
Holism is
Everything.
multiphasic. It covers everything.
Let's talk about our practice and what real holistic doc is all about, because this is important. So first and foremost, we are conventionally trained docs. Okay, so we're not going to forget about that. Dr. Shealy is, well, I think everybody knows who's Dr. Shealy, but I'll just a quick reminder. His career in neurosurgery and multiple patents, books, and scientific discoveries are, well, it'd be a long conversation right now. And he still continues to do active research and everything else consistent with the academic and higher than academic criteria, so to speak. I myself am a family medicine trained, so I'm familiar with family medicine. I'm also emergency room for the last 20 years, because the concept of family medicine as a preventive, so to speak, quote unquote, to me is a joke. I'm just being frank. And I just literally couldn't do that. Even back a bunch of years ago with my heart and my consciousness. But emergency room, I still believe in, I still do. And when there's an emergency, it's good to recognize it. These are good skills. You do need surgery, and you do need procedures. You do need specialists. We do all these referrals in the practice from a common sense approach. If it's necessary, we do it. If you need a medication or you need a prescription, we can do it. Again, we're full-fledged doctors. But here's the difference and distinction. This is what makes for a real holistic doc. And again, this is our perspective, so I'll just share that with you. And of course, Dr. Shealy can jump in afterwards. We literally take people off medications instead of putting them on medications. And how we do that is by recognizing and acknowledging that the individual, from the spirit, soul, mind, the control center, decision center, and then of course physical, lifestyle, and everything else, all those levels. And we do that in the most common sense, nature based, in other words, concept. In other words, are we? How much time do we have before we come back?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. I think I can finish in 30 seconds here. Okay, so just to continue, it's a person in the whole entirety, including nutrition, including lifestyle, including everything, stress management, but also getting off drugs and going back or to turning back the time on all those chronic illnesses. So yes, it's an everything thing, and it applies to basically almost every case scenario.
Now, back to Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Norm Shealy and Dr. Shealy-Sorin.
All right.
And it's important to recognize that drugs can save your life in acute illness. But every known drug, from aspirin to chemotherapy of all kinds and everything in between, once you've taken it for a maximum of 3 months, it causes more problems than it helps.
Yes.
It can kill you.
So there was a question, in short, during the break, and I'll repeat this because this is actually worth repeating. I didn't realize that at the time we were in the break, so I got into it. This is our passion, I mean, I can say this a million times. What do we do in terms of holistic medicine and approach, and what do we do? Do we just talk about nutrition? Yes, we talk about nutrition because garbage in equals garbage out, and vice versa. So it's one of the most essential things. But we also talk about the entire range of lifestyle, including sleep, activity levels, and how to optimize proper recovery, sleep, stress management, which is behind 95% of all the terrible things that happen, but also the holistic, complete approach to the human being, including spirit, soul. In other words, who are we, why are we doing things, mind, mental, it's the decision maker, what's going to happen physically, what kind of patterns are we setting, are we allowing, and then all the physical things, including not just lifestyle, but reversing, if a person is interested, all the processes and biophysical changes that are associated with disease process, dis-ease, by coming back into ease. In other words, if a person has a crutch, and this is interesting, I do want to make this distinction. Imagine if a person has a broken leg, and that leg is so broken that it's not going to heal on itself, and the person is walking with a crutch. Okay, that crutch is not great, but at least it allows the person to walk, right? But if you take away that crutch and the person doesn't do anything to fix the underlying leg issue, they're going to fall flat on their face. So you're not doing them a favor by taking the crutch away. But if you do something to make the leg better, if you address the underlying issue, you fix the leg, and then you no longer need the crutch, then why do you need to hold on to things that are not necessary? Unnecessary substances with side effects and otherwise. This is what we're talking about. Getting back to the origins, back to the concept of holism, holy origins, nature, and blueprint of how the humans are made, understanding and following through, which is what this topic is about, health, wellness, attitude, emotions, feelings, everything that you are, becoming the ideal human being that you can be. Well, any questions,
Next.
any thoughts otherwise? And of course, Dr. Shealy can jump in with, I'm sure you got lots of remarks.
No other questions at the moment?
Okay, we have a question of what is the best supplements for high blood pressure?
The single best supplement is Nitro Extreme by Kyani. It works fantastically and increases energy and is safe. You can go to our website and find a link to order it.
Mm-hmm. And the website is Real Holistic Doc, RealHolisticDoc. Did I get it right?
.com.
.com. Yes. So that's one Nitro Extreme, one full dropper under the tongue. Let it sit there for about 60 seconds, and in about half an hour to an hour, something should happen in a positive direction. Lasts usually about 4 to 6 hours. You can use more than one dropper, but let's not forget about something called taurine as well.
L-taurine is a wonderful, relaxer for the nervous system. It works synergistically with magnesium lotion, and that would be second to my list.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, plain old autogenic training.
And lifestyle, one of the keys.
Attitude.
Attitude, yeah. Do we have any callers or any comments?
Tell them to call back.
Oh, okay.
We did have a caller. If they would go ahead and call back.
Mm-hmm. Well, would love to hear from you. Our number here is
417-447-1777.
In the meantime, Dr. Shealy and myself, we can continue the conversation otherwise. So follow through. Actually, Robin, and I'm going to give Robin some credit here because that was one of the most brilliant remarks that I've heard in a little while. We started talking about. I said that we were going to talk about follow through, and I played some tennis when I was in college, and Robin just mentioned that, oh, just like in tennis. Well, just think of it in that concept. It's an analogy, or it's a visual. If you're playing tennis, and for those who know how to play tennis, if you don't follow through, if you don't make a complete swing, what kind of outcome are you going to get? Well, keeping it simple, keeping it real. This is all practical matters. It's not rocket science. It's not trickery. It's not difficult. It's literally what you do, consequences and outcomes. That's all there is to it.
And we do have a caller.
You're all right.
You're on the air.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. How are you?
Hi, this is Lita Takal.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Hi, my health heroes.
Wonderful.
I am lovely. I'm wonderful. I'm calling in with a question for a friend.
Are you there? Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. I've got a little technical problem. Let me get off. Now, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Much better. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Yes.
much better. Okay. So a close friend of mine has just been diagnosed with osteoporosis. She's in her early 50s. She had to have a hysterectomy in her 20s, then had her ovaries removed in her 30s. She has some scoliosis already, but this diagnosis is just recent, just last week. So I'm just asking for any information, any guidance, anywhere I can point her for that.
At the top of the list is vitamin D3. If she weighs 140 pounds or more, 50,000 units once a week.
Yeah.
Second is magnesium lotion.
Okay.
It is efficient in 80% of Americans. Third is boron, BORON, 9 to 12 milligrams a day, depending on her weight.
Yeah.
Now, several other things. You want to consider either weight-bearing exercise, not anything that's would be traumatic or injurious, but perhaps a vibrating plate, vibe plate, and actually, I think they used to be a couple of $1,000s. Now they're a lot less.
Yeah, $250. Confidence, CONFIDENCE on Amazon. It's as good as one I paid $2,400 for 15 years ago or more. So, it's excellent for the body as a whole, but for bones especially.
And if she goes to a conventional doc, she'll probably get recommended a bisphosphonate, which is, in other words, it's a type of drug for the bone strengthening, so to speak. It just it literally makes the bones real brittle. And can it help make it stronger in some ways? Yes. But what happens when the bone is brittle and it takes a hit? Boom. It's I mean, you're not talking a simple break. You're talking basically a grenade going off.
That's what she's really afraid of. Yeah.
So, again, we don't tell people what to do or what not to do, but again, reading between the lines, you can kind of get our sense on the drugs on this.
Yeah, I know. Okay. All right. Well, I will forward those suggestions on to her. Thank you both so much. Love you so much. Blessings to you. Thank you for being there.
Thank you.
And thank you for calling.
And thank you for being you. Yeah.
Yep. We'll see you soon. Okay.
Thanks.
Yep. Any other questions or calls? Would love to answer. All right. We have a question. Yeah.
We have a question from the internet. How do I best strengthen my immune system before flying?
Very good. Now, if you are local in Springfield, Missouri, or you're close enough, what I would highly recommend is an intravenous vitamin C and plus possibly intravenous medical ozone, which is both blood treatments. In other words, intravenous C is an infusion. Dr. Shealy has been doing it for decades. We've actually been doing it in our current clinic for a number of years. Our one of favorite things, cleans the blood up, great for immune system and antioxidant, cleans up free radicals. I mean, so many benefits, and plus makes you feel fantastic. So that's something to talk about at the clinic if you're local, and if you are here in Springfield, it's 417-351-5221, and that's Shealy-Sorin Wellness Institute, also known as Real Holistic Doc. The other things. Go ahead. What would you say?
The normal supplements that we talk about so often: vitamin D3, youth formula, and essentials.
Bam. And then, of course, I would also add to that two other things, which is astaxanthin, which is it's an antioxidant. It's wonderful for cleaning up free radicals and otherwise, but also so many other benefits. That's be 20 milligrams a day, general. And I would also throw in for the immunity, if you want to focus in on that, it's beta-1,3-glucan at 500 and up to actually 1,000 milligrams a day.
Yeah.
That's a good general start and foundation. And of course, positive attitude, keep down the stress, because the stress and immune system are directly related. High stress, bad immune system. Think about a cold sore, for example. You get stressed, you get cold sores. Immune system. Simple example. It goes deeper than that.
Next.
All right. Any other questions or thoughts?
Yes. Another question from the internet. What are the benefits of L-mannose?
D-mannose.
D-mannose.
Oh.
There is L and D forms of compounds generally.
It is excellent for preventing urinary tract infections. The bacteria most commonly associated with a bladder or urinary infection is E. coli. E. coli likes D-mannose better than it likes you, so it jumps on the D-mannose and you urinate it out. And it's highly recommended and highly safe.
Actually, if we have a little time to talk, I'd like to continue with a concept of what I started earlier, previously, about the concept of a movie script of your life, or a production of your life. So if you were the director, is everyone out there happy with this movie of your life where you're the main character, protagonist? Are you enjoying a good experience? Or is there anything that needs to be rewritten? And by the way, if you have a comment to make, or if you want to share something, again, you don't have to. This is purely confidential. But if there's something on your mind, or you want to share with the community, and this is indeed a wellness community, we're here to support each other. Please drop any remarks, thoughts, and basically anything on your mind as far as your plan in follow-through and how you're planning to do this.
And you can call.
And you can call.
417-447-1777.
And folks, as long as there's no calls, I'll just keep talking. We still got a couple of minutes. These topics that we're talking about, it's not just about back pain. It's not just about medical topics. It's literally about your life, because holism is life. It's holy. It's sacred. It's sovereign. This is what we are, made in the image and likeness of the Creator, and with the capacity to co-create. This is what it's all about. We can talk about health. We can talk about finances. We can talk about relationships, marriage, children, parents, whatever you want to call it, anything, everything. This is what this is all about. This is about your life. It's about your being. And the human experience is an interesting entity. I do want to share this. Most people don't know their full potential. Most people have no idea who they are and how much they can do if they were to simply get rid of the garbage in their lives, to allow themselves their best self. This is what I would call a superhuman, according to the average population, but there's nothing super about it. It's simply our best capacity. And that is what I am after personally, and that is what I'm after in my clients, my friends, my family, anybody who's willing to listen. Literally, it's about optimization. It's about living your best life. And conventional medicine, well, that's not designed for that. This is where holism comes in.
And it's attitude. and behavior.
Absolutely. Now, we have a coaching program coming out shortly, and it's in the process of being, finalized. The idea is that we are more than doctors. To be a doctor, what is the definition of being a doctor? If you break it down, the old word doctor truly stands for a friend, a teacher, somebody who is a guide, somebody who is on your side, somebody who is perhaps more informed about some other things and has the resources, and working with you to make your personal life better. If that's the relationship you're getting with your physician, fantastic. If that's not the relationship, if you're not being heard, and it's hard in conventional system to be heard because there's all sorts of restrictions, and now there's all sorts of, and I'll say this, when personally, it's very difficult for me to communicate, especially with the older folks or those with hearing issues when I'm wearing a mask. In other words, and I don't know how many people. And this is just one of the many examples of how our society has lost the capacity and the fine touches on communication, personal human factors. The 6 feet, again, it's been interestingly said that 6 feet in energetical terms is the space, distance, where if the two people are within 6 feet, this has been mentioned in several metaphysical texts and spiritual texts, that is the heart space. So literally, folks, come into each other's heart space, share your love, share everything good, help each other. Let's bring humanity back. Let's bring back what makes the best of us, personally, individually, family, country, and just as human beings.
And it is intention and action which accomplishes the results. So if you're on any drug and not healthy, you need to consider holism.
Or if you want to optimize, or if you don't want to start taking drugs, or if you just want to basically be the best version of yourself. That's what it's all about. To me, there is no other alternative. If I can be my best, or I can be my not best, my less than best, well, my choice is to do my best.
Well, what started me on the road to holism was the huge number of people who were on Valium and Percodan and had pain with no help whatsoever.
Yes.
And I remembered one of my great challenges in medical school in the junior year at the end of the semester of psychiatry. They had a question. List 5 characteristics of a good psychiatrist. I wrote crazy as hell 5 times. I was called in by the Politburo, 3 of them. And they threatened to flunk me. And I said, would you like me in this blank? And I didn't use the word course again next year. They didn't dare flunk me. And I haven't changed my mind. In general, I consider psychiatry the worst of all specialties. And most psychologists is not much better.
Well, let me kind of just give my perspective on this as well, because what happens, and this actually happened 300 years ago or so, when when we started using reductionism. And there's, I'm not saying there's not a good benefit out of it. We get to learn a lot of science, we get to learn a lot of molecules, chemicals. That's what gave birth to a large degree to the pharmaceutical industry. And I'm not saying pharmaceutical industry is entirely useless. I mean, it does have very good uses in emergency situations, and when appropriate, it can be very life-saving. And it's good to understand that. But at that time, and moving on, and since, and more so, we have literally beheaded, the being that we are. In other words, we cut off. We annihilated, we separated in our society, our culture, our medical system, our healthcare system, in our world entirely, all around, the spirit and soul, first of all, from the mind. And then second, we just to add insult to the injury, we have severed the mind, the head from the body, so to speak. So here's psychiatry. So you got a psych problem, here's deal with psych. It's all in your head, right? How many people have heard that? Or psychosomatic, or any of the other terms. I don't deal well with that. Let's put it that way. And then there's the body, and which is the doctors and the medicine. That's what we do. We deal with the body. When it comes to the mind, I have no idea. Okay, let's go talk to a psychiatrist. And when the psychiatrist can't help, guess what? Well, maybe go to, talk to somebody else. I don't know whom to recommend you to. Well, guess what? We have all those things, and we've never separated if we realize that. We are whole. Please.
And let's take one of the most common illnesses, hypertension.
Yes.
All hypertensive drugs suck, and I'm being kind. Taking 3 antihypertensive drugs works only 42% of the time. And virtually 100% of the time, it saps your energy, takes away your energy, your libido, life in general. We can control hypertension 99+% of the time safely with holistic approaches.
Without drugs, without side effects.
Yes.
And restoring health, restoring balance. So the blood pressure really becomes a side effect as it goes away, and the cup of the health, so to speak, becomes filled up. That's what you want. You want the reserve. You want to be well. Not just a clean bill of health. I don't have any major diagnoses. That's the responsibility. That's the decision. Do you want to be your best self? And if the answer is no, then, well, enjoy where you are. If you do, decide. Make a decision. Set intention and follow on through. That's the key.
So if you have a problem which has not been cured and without symptoms of any kind whatsoever, the time has come to choose a holistic doc.
Real Holistic Doc. And if you want to find us, 417-351-5221. We see people for appointments, video. Actually, it's interesting. This week I had more international appointments than I had local, and I love it. I'm not complaining. By the way, hello to Ireland, and I had and a few other places in Europe. Love the company. Love the flashback. I am from Europe originally, so, but. We got 2 minutes. We're going to round up here. And if there's any other questions, we have time for perhaps a question. And then we'll see you again at the next radio station. And I do want to remind again, realholisticdoc.com. Lots of information, lots of resources. And if you want to check us out and support us and the vision of holism and what we do, message, love, truth. We would love to have you. The store carries basically all our favorite products and everything that Dr. Shealy has developed. And there's a $75 order is going to get no shipping until further notice. And again, I should have figured out until when, but at least for the next while. So this is how good I am with numbers, but that's okay. Yeah, Matt, if you can put that on the screen, just to. I didn't ask the specific detail, and the devil's in details here. But until further notice, that stands because I make a promise. We have 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. Okay, yeah, there we go. Again, any questions? We still got about a minute or so.
And we do have a question from the internet. Is there any vitamins or supplements that you should not take together?
Yeah, there's a couple I can think of. Calcium.
Well, yes, if you take adequate vitamin D3, you do not need any added calcium.
And another thing that I'm going to suggest, and this is a common one that people prescribe, is vitamin D and vitamin K. Magnesium. I apologize. Magnesium, oral, not by skin, but oral.
Yeah, it's a waste of time and money.
Other than for constipation, absolutely, yes. There's a few things, but yeah.
Well, magnesium lotion is essential in 80% of Americans because they're deficient, and it is associated with almost all illnesses, deficiency. So magnesium lotion is as important as D3.
Absolutely. And we're going to wind down. We'll see you next week. And we'll continue our thread on wellness, health, and holism. Take care.
Have a good one.
The views expressed on this show are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not those of radio station KICK, Vision Communications Incorporated, its management, or advertisers. Vision Communications Incorporated is not responsible for the validity or accuracy of information presented on this program.
All right. Are we still on? Or
You're still on.
Okay. on the live. Okay, anything else there, or shall we say a farewell until further notice? And I'm just curious if anyone has made any comments on what their intentions and follow through are. Oh, wow.
So until next week, have a good one.
And that's your homework until next week. Shall you accept it? What are you interested in changing? How are you going to change it? And are you worth it? And I'd love to hear from you. Take care.